Hello, my name is Candeise, Leveridge, and today I'll be reading for you Anancy and the Haunted House. It was written by Ricardo Keans-Douglass. Anancy was the biggest and strongest spider in the whole town. He had traveled far and wide, climbed the highest mountains, and yes, scared the most famous people. He loved to boast about his adventures, which, according to him, were bigger and better than anyone else's. All the little spiders in the neighborhood admired Anancy a lot. They loved to play with him whenever he had time, but he was always busy. One day, all the little spiders planned a late-night party down by the beach, a safe distance from the haunted house. "Would you like to join us, Anancy? Please, please," they called. "We're scared of, that house." And Anancy said okay, he would be there at 11:30 and to bring plenty of food. And so it was done. All the spiders came down to the beach after dark. They sang songs and jumped rope and played skipping games, but they avoided looking over at that house. When Anancy arrived, they all ate and he told them a story of a haunted house he explored once. The little spiders shivered and giggled. "I'm not scared of anything," he said. "What's so scary about an old house?" "Well," said the smallest spider, "they say that rocks fall out of nowhere right onto the roof of that house, and at midnight a big rooster dances on the table in there." "So?" said Anancy. "They say that creepy things come out of the broken windows, but nothing ever goes in," said another spider. "Nonsense," thundered Anancy. "You're so silly. I'll show you. I'm going in there at 11:15, and if that rooster shows up, I'll show it what it means to really dance. I'll teach it a step or two." And true to his word, at 11:15, Anancy headed for the haunted house. His little friends had hoped he was joking. "No, no, don't go alone," they shouted after him. "Let us go with you." "I don't need you little guys," called out Anancy. "What can you do that I can't do 1,000,000 times better?" And he puffed up his chest, jumped on the veranda, and slowly opened the door. It didn't creak. Inside it was very quiet. There was just the sound of the faraway waves on the beach. The moonlight was beaming through the windows and the cracks in the wall. Bam! Anancy jumped, but it was only the door slamming shut. "Anancy, are you all right?" whispered some little timid voices at the window. "I'm fine, cool as a cucumber," called Anancy, shaking just a little. And as he walked further into the room, there it was, a table with 20 legs, all pointing in different directions. He'd never seen anything like it. "This must be the table the rooster dances on," he thought. And just then he heard an ear-splitting crow. "Coo-kee-coo!" And again it came closer, and it was getting louder. Anancy had no idea where this rooster was, so he decided it was time to leave. "I'll go out and tell them I danced the rooster right off the table, just like that," Anancy thought. And he turned to leave when all of a sudden, whoosh, whoosh. What was that? Bats. They were everywhere, just coming and going. Anancy was not fond of bats. They made him cringe, and worse, just then, heavy things fell off the roof. Crash! He would just make his way to the door now, yes, but as he turned to go, there it was, coming out of the shadows, the biggest rooster you have ever seen, and it jumped onto the table and started to dance. It was midnight. Anancy stood, petrified. He'd never seen a rooster dance. It was doing all kinds of fancy steps right up there on the table. By this time, there were hundreds of anxious little spiders peeping through the dusty windows and cracks. They wanted to see brave Anancy dance. Just then, the rooster stopped with a stamp and said, "Can you do that, Mr. Spider?" "Ah, of course," Anancy said, backing up a little. "I can't hear you," said the rooster. There was no turning back now. Anancy knew all of his little friends were watching him, the big, strong, fearless spider who could do anything in the world without help. "Yes, I can do that," said Anancy. "Then dance." And Anancy started, slowly at first, then picking up speed. "Not down there, right up here on the table next to me," said the rooster. The eyes of the little spiders were watching, so Anancy jumped up onto the table and started to really show off. He was doing all the latest movements, even throwing a backflip and a split. The rooster watched, and all of a sudden, it pounced and pinned Anancy down with its claw. "Ah!" Anancy yelled. "Ha ha!" laughed the rooster. "I got me another spider for a snack. I love spiders, and particularly the legs." "Help!" Anancy shouted. "And you have so many of them," said the rooster. But just as it was going to nibble, the rooster had the strange feeling that it was being imprisoned. Hundreds of fine, silky strands had dropped from the ceiling, with the little spiders wrapping around the rooster, back and forth, down and around, quick like lightning, spinning their thread and lifting the rooster high, high up to the ceiling, freeing Anancy. Thank you," he shouted to all the little spiders. "You saved me." And they ran out and returned to the party, laughing and singing, dancing and eating, and no one knows if the rooster ever danced again or if it's still hanging in the ceiling, tied together by spider webs. But every now and then you will hear a coo-kee-coo drifting on the breeze.